I would say the election in Nigeria this year can be classified under the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this edition of Novel TV, where we're going to be discussing several issues, including ranging from February 25th presidential election, which was culminated and engulfed into serious controversies. And again, last Saturday, we held the governorship and state assembly elections. And of course, coalition is going on now, and the election has gone, not without another series of controversies, trailing a lot of states and a lot of governors, governorship candidates for several political parties rejecting the election results so far declared by the INEC. And of course, they know about it that the state assemblies, including the national assemblies, perhaps none is contesting whether he or she lost the election. But we are seeing that in the governorship election, where we have a lot of people now preparing their files and documents and the constitutional laws to challenge the electoral declaration of candidates in the Nigerian court. And of course, with me this afternoon to dissect some of these issues is no other person than Uncle Dr. Comrade Austin Omilo. You are welcome to this edition.
Thank you very much. It's always good with you.
All right, a quick one. Let's review. Have overview of what is really what has been going on since Saturday to date.
Yes.
And of course, the state INEC have declared several states. And of course, we have states where the incumbent governors lost their bid to stage a comeback. And of course, we also have a situation where the anointed candidates of sitting governors couldn't even make it to the seats. There are fallouts, there are issues, there are controversies, there are killings, there are threats, culminating all this last week election. In your overview, what do you think?
Yes, in my own estimation, I would say the election in Nigeria this year can be classified under the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, what is the good about it? The frenzy that accompanied the election this year have never been witnessed in Nigeria. We saw a lot of persons who ordinarily would not win election because they didn't have money, or maybe there were no godfathers winning election. We saw a situation where campaigns became more serious because a lot of persons who thought in the past that you could just win an election by having a godfather or by sharing money, you just win an election, even though you don't even perform as a political party or as an individual. But this year, the narrative changed. We saw a kind of a political tsunami that happened, which means the awareness, the interest of the people have actually increased. Our democracy along this line is actually getting better. But again, the killings that occurred, very ugly incidents we recorded. We saw them in Lagos, saw them in the north, and in many places before, during, and even after the elections. We should grow beyond having people killed in elections. Because if you kill people because of election, what it means is that you'll be discouraging people from coming out to actually exercise their franchise. So we saw this happening in this year. People were so desperate, and that desperation cost a lot of lives. And we also saw, if you like, call it now the ugly or the bad now, where in some states you had some people saying if you are from a particular tribe, don't venture come to vote, or if you are not voting for a particular party, don't try coming out at all, because whatever happens to you, we cannot guarantee it. We saw such stress manifesting in the election, and indeed many people who went and some of them were wounded, some were badly injured, and we saw the result everywhere. And the kind of massive rigging that occurred, despite the fact that INEC assured us that Beavers was going to do the magic, taking us away from the former manual collation of results, where rigging was always manifest, to a situation where, because of electronic transmission of results, there was going to be no rigging. But we saw all these things coming to be something that was not complied to by INEC itself. So these are some of the things that we can continue to discuss over the time, and to see how we can change the narrative in the future.
No, you're not an INEC official, but the information we got says that the polling units and the beavers were stored or installed in some party stalwarts residency.
Yeah.
And of course, Does it mean that, again, that INEC have failed?
Yes, one can say INEC has failed, but the failure lies more on Nigerians because the political stalwart, like we had a case in maybe Akwa Ibom State or something, that allowed INEC property to be installed in his personal house. It's an irresponsible act because there are some things that we don't expect from leaders. We have often said that the leaders who live in glass houses don't throw stones. So if you, as a leader, a political leader, you allow that kind of criminal act to be perpetrated in your house, what legacy are you leaving behind for the children yet unborn? So even if INEC wanted to put it in your house, you should be the one that will be saying, no, please, go do the right thing because I'm a leader and I'm leading people. I know that they are learning something from me. So for me, yes, INEC may have failed along that direction, but the leaders failed more by encouraging it.
And again, we now have people now where they say beavers was somehow bypassed or beavers were not used. And also election held. And the Electoral Act is clear on the issue of non-use of beavers in polling units. And again, you have issues where INEC on their impact are unable to send the official to conduct electoral processes in some polling units. And at the end of the day, such polling units also have result allotted to them.
Yes.
In this attitude, do you foresee desperation on the part of politicians, or do you foresee collusion on the part of the INEC?
Yes, this one is purely INEC failure. Because for me, if there is a place where you are not able to use the beavers, be honest enough to tell us, that is the populace now, that your beavers is not working in a particular area, and therefore, because of it, you are going to postpone election in that area. So that at the end of the day, maybe like the following day or some other time, you can borrow from wherever the beavers work to go to that place, deploy the beavers, and let beavers work in such places. And if there are places where election didn't hold, and yet the results came from such places, it's because INEC wanted it to be like that, and which is also a responsibility of INEC, and there is nobody else that can be blamed for such a magnitude of irregularity. It's INEC.
During the presidential election, where there were controversies during the collection, and of course the INEC chairman Mahmood Yacob promised all the agitating party members that he was going to review the result before the announcement. And I remember the Constitution gave the INEC 7 days to look into every result where they feel they're not comfortable before announcing. Of course, before we know it, before Nigeria could wake up on March 1st, the result was, a candidate was declared. And of course, till now, no Nigeria have celebrated that. There's also controversy surrounding that. And again, here you are in some states that have rejected the result of the election because of some electoral malpractices, yet INEC went ahead to declare the result. Don't you think that INEC is trying to exonerate himself from every blame or from any blame at all?
Yes, he may be trying to exonerate himself, but the more he tries, the more he gets immersed in the problem. Because if you promise, you see, why people don't trust government is because when government gives us information about what is happening, and at the end of the day, we'll see that reneging. That's the problem we have in this society. That's why we don't believe in government. So if INEC said, we're going to review all the electoral results we are receiving, then after that, if there are grievances, we'll settle them before we announce the result. And people were clapping, oh, thank God, oh, this is the way you are thinking. And all of a sudden, you somersaulted, you changed without letting us know, and you announce the result. Even if the result you are even announcing is correct, the fact that it did not go the way you promised us, the way you promised the people, and the people were expecting, you just went on your own without letting anybody that, oh, sorry, I have changed my mind, oh, this is how we want to do it now. I just announced it. The worst is that the result was even announced in the night. Before you woke up in the morning, you saw INEC was already declaring somebody as a winner. I don't care whether the person is the right person that won the election or wrong person. But the fact that you did not follow the principle, the theory, the story that you told us or told the people that you were going to follow means that you had a hidden agenda. And that brings about the distrust in governance, which is very unfortunate. Because if somebody is given to telling lies, when he tells the truth, it becomes very difficult to accept. And that is what we're having now. Even when INEC is going to do something very wonderful now in the future, people will begin to say, look at what happened in the last election, the governorship election and all that. People didn't come to vote because they were still believing that the way INEC behaved the other time, even though INEC has tried to say that, but even at that now, you can see that even in some areas, what played out on 25th of February also manifested a little bit in other places. You saw results that were announced manually everywhere.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving us time to coming to speak with us on Noble TV. And of course, with us in the studio is another person than Omilo Austin. Omilo Austin is a social commentator and political analyst. And of course, this is Noble TV. My name is Chidi Peters. Don't fail to subscribe, share, comment, and of course, like.